The following BLTV program is brought to you by O'Flaherty Law. Please enjoy.
Thanks for listening to the On Purpose Growth Podcast. Let us know what you thought in the comment section. For more from On Purpose Growth, go to onpurposegrowth.com. Subscribe here at BLTV for all of our content, including the daily Learn About Law podcast, Seize Your Business, Making Real Estate Fun, and Logical Logistics podcast, brought to you by O'Flaherty Law. Thanks for listening.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to this episode of the On Purpose Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Brian McDonald, and today I'm really excited because I've got Ronny Leber on with me. He's coming to us from Vienna, Austria, and he's an amazing individual. He's entertained over 5 million people. He's a speaker. He's a stadium host, and he helps people become better speakers as well as help them create their legacy. So Ronny, thanks for being on today.
Thank you, Brian, for having me. It's a pleasure, and I can't wait.
Yeah, me too. So what I can't wait about is Ronny's going to be talking about why now more than ever it's important to have a winning mindset. It's something that I believe, and I think I'm personally always working on. So Ronny, please share more about why it's important now and some background to that winning mindset.
Well, that's a great question, Brian. And first of all, I was always a believer that it's really important that your mindset is going to shape your beliefs. It's also going to shape your successes or not successes in life. And now, just in the last months, or in this year, in 2020, and at the time of this recording, mindset is everything. It's everything. Because basically mindset is the filter with which you see the world, with which you approach the world. And basically in every given situation right now that you're in, there are always 3 decisions that you're gonna make, consciously or unconsciously. And the first one is, what do you focus on? At every single moment in time, you always have, like we have through our senses, the opportunity to focus on millions of things. Like you could focus on your skin, you could focus on your heartbeat, you could focus on your breathing, you can focus on where you're looking at, you can close your eyes and focus on something inside, outside, or on a memory, whatever it is. So the first important question is, what do you focus on? Are you gonna see the good? Are you gonna see the bad? The next question is, what does it mean? Like what meaning do you attach to what you focus on? And that is also something really important. Like, is it going to be an empowering meeting, something that really juices you up, or that is something that motivates you, that inspires you, or is it something where you're like, that makes you frustrated or pissed off, or something where you're saying like, oh no, I don't like that. So once again, what do you focus on? What does it mean? And the third thing that you decide at any given moment is, what am I going to do about that? Or what am I doing because of that? Because basically it is, when you are you can also do nothing, obviously, which is also a choice. Or you can do something proactively in order to say, okay, you know what? I focus on this now. That means that for me. And that's why I'm going to do this. Basically, this year, let's make it practical in COVID, and many businesses have gotten hit by that. And if you're one of those business owners or one of those people that have taken severe losses, of course you could focus on, oh my God, this is horrible. Oh my God, it's all going to an end, and really be frustrated. Like when you're sitting in a car and the car gets out of control and you're going to a wall, you can focus on the wall getting closer, or you can focus on the goal. Where do you want to go? And what is this gonna bring you? And so instead of just how horrible COVID is, you could focus on what are the opportunities. What are the chances? What are the options that are now presenting itself that nobody else is doing? What are the things that I can do while everybody else is fearful? That I can do now to actually make a step forward that will put me in front of the race, in front of everybody else. And then you can see, okay, maybe I need to go in this direction. And so you focus on that, you know the meaning of it, that this is going to mean something really great for you, because you can tap into a field that is very new. Like, for example, everything is going virtual now in 2020. So how can you be in front of the track? How can you also serve your customers? How can you serve your clients? And how can you maybe even create a new group of clients that hasn't been there before? Because now there's a new market opening up. And then what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to sit around at the side and watch while everybody else is playing and picking up the ball? Or are you getting in the game and really making a move? I think that pretty much sums it up.
Oh yeah, it does. I love the way you articulated that, because it makes complete sense. Now, you probably didn't, wake up in life, thinking this, right? I'm sure you learned it along the way. So why don't you share a little bit about your background on how you got to this type of mindset, ironically, and then we'll, dive back in to the topic.
Well, I'm now 40 years old, and already in my teens, I was interested in why we do the things we do, why we feel the things we feel, and like what moves us, and how does our brain work? How do we work as a human being? And so I was reading books and then started and trying to find out some things. I was reading Dale Carnegie, and then I read my first book from Tony Robbins, and I went to several seminars. I went to, now for over 2 decades, I've been really digging deep into what makes us special. How does success work? And how are we going to be successful? Also in my everyday job, you mentioned it before, and I have the privilege of also working a lot in sports, with Olympic champions, with world champions, with amazing people, as well as people from all walks of life, from politics, from top entrepreneurs, business owners, and all kind of people. And they are they just have a different mindset, the one or the few who do, compared to the many who talk. And so just taking in what makes you move forward and how success works. And I've always been fascinated by that.
Well, you said something there that I caught, is that there was a difference between those entrepreneurs that do and then those that talk. Tell me about that.
Well, usually, or oftentimes, an entrepreneur, or at least the ones you read about, are usually the ones who do, because they you cannot be successful if you don't do, if you just talk. But I mean, you and I and all of us know, and probably all of us have been there at some point in my life. For sure, I've been there, that there were times when I talked about things, and I'm going to do that, I want to do that, and I didn't get, I was standing behind the starting line of the race, but I never started to run. And because there was something in my mind and something inside of me blocking me, or maybe sabotaging myself. And just to be aware of what is actually going on inside of us, because whatever you do in your life, it's 80% psychology and just 20% strategy. Because for example, if you want to lose, let's say 10, 20, 30 pounds or whatever it is, that a simple goal like that, it's easy to come up with a strategy. You just got to go to Google and look up, there are tons of strategies, but it's a psychology that will make you succeed. So it's all about the psychology, those 80% of psychology that you need in order to actually succeed. And that's something that I've been specialized on.
So what is it about that psychology, right? Because there's 80% there, right? And some of that 80% for some people, that 8% keeps them losing, and others, it keeps them winning. So what is it about that mindset that allows people to succeed?
Well, it's a combination of the questions that you ask yourself, because basically we're asking ourselves questions all day long. Yeah. And even thinking is a process of putting out questions and answering them. And even if there is no answer, your brain will come up with an answer. So and so the quality of the questions that you're asking yourself is critical. We always learn in school, like there are no bad questions, there are just bad answers or something like that. Yeah, that might be in one way true. At the same time, if you are just asking yourself bad questions or questions that are not supporting you, then you're not going to get high quality answers. For example, if you're asking yourself the whole time, like, oh my God, why does this always happen to me? Or, oh my God, why can I never win? Or, oh my God, why do I always lose something or lose money or whatever it is? You're not going to come up with a question that's going to support you in order to succeed. You need to ask yourself a different question. You need to ask yourself a question that is actually going to support you. Like, how can I create even more income? How can I create even more out of my business? How can I create even more value to my clients? Like, those are questions, for example, that are great to start with. And from there on, your questions also lead your focus. And as we know, where focus goes, energy flows. And that means also your focus is going to control also what you, as we talked about it before, what you're going to think about it, and also like what it means, and then also what you're going to do about it.
Yeah, it sounds like all those things, all three of those things you just listed are highly linked together, even though they seem separate, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like everything is connected, and we are all one. It's not just about you. It's like also we, as all people, are connected. I always say that life is a team sports. And like, I mean, I love sports, and I think sports is fantastic because, for example, I even studied sports. I studied sports at the sports university, and I studied economics at the University of Economics. The big difference was at the University of Economics, pretty much everybody was like on their own. You were doing a thing, and like everybody was like, okay, this is my thing, and so on. But at the University of Sports, it was, you could see there was a different breed. People there, they were used to being together, like to interact as a team sports. And so everything there was way more sharing, caring for each other, and also to create something, to move forward together. And I think that's what life is about. Life is about creating something, creating the magic together.
I love that, because I guess I've known that, but never seen it in my mind of what you described. And when I think about your stereotypical entrepreneur, they feel that they're on an island, and sometimes they just try to do things on their own when they actually need other team members of other entrepreneurs to help them.
Oh, Brian, that is a fantastic example. I've been there for way too long. Like I was a solopreneur, like probably also many of our listeners, because basically solopreneurs are the most entrepreneurs out there. And the point is that for way too long, I believed that I need to do everything myself because I'm a solopreneur. Of course, I had somebody doing my accounting and so on, yeah? But basically, I was like, and what we oftentimes forget in business, we are the most limiting factor of our business as the leader. Like if the leader is limited, and nobody else can do something about it. And now what I actually learned in the last years, and that is fascinating in today's day and age, is to leverage myself and to create a whole team of people around myself, but without actually having some employees that I need to pay every month, but actually having people to work for me just for the things that I need them to work for me, some specialists. And basically nowadays with virtual assistants, it's an incredible, amazing opportunity. There are people out there in all parts of the world and that have some specialties that you just dream of and that are even pricey. So that's something I could really recommend to look into.
So how do you apply that winning mindset to what you just described? Like, how do we mesh those two things together?
You mean like with building a team?
Yeah. How do you apply that to, building a team, like the winning mindset? Because what I'm probably predicting here is there's people that are either watching or listening to us. They're saying, I can't do that. I can't afford that. There's no way I'm going to build a team. So how do they take a winning mindset into that?
Okay, that's a great point, Brian, and a great question. First of all, And I'm gonna use again. I'm gonna use again the analogy of sports. In sports, I don't know if you're a sports fan. Are you a
Oh
sports
yeah.
fan?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What do you like?
Uh, Pretty much all sports, right? I moved from one sport to the next. So big American football, baseball, American basketball.
Awesome. So, for example, I mean, in sports, there's something that you call momentum. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
momentum. That is like when you're it's actually a terminology from physics. That means that when an object starts to move, and suddenly, like for example, you take a snowball and you move the snowball down the mountain,
Mm-hmm.
and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to get easier to like the movement is going to get easier for you. You need less and less force, and at some point, it's just going to move by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the momentum. It happens in sports all the time that like one team has momentum and suddenly something changes and suddenly the other team picks up momentum. And it's fascinating to watch. And so how can you do that? It's all about creating momentum for yourself. That means if you're right now in a position where you're thinking, well, that sounds great, Ronny, but I have no idea how to do that. I don't know. I'm not there yet. I don't, or maybe you don't trust yourself to do that yet. Start with small steps, like small steps first, really build momentum to trust yourself. That means, for example, if you're, because all of us need to sell something in a
Yep.
business.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't sell something, then you're not gonna be able to survive. So, and I'm sure you have some goals to sell something because you know you need to meet those goals in order to create some income. And start small. Start with like, okay, I'm gonna set myself a standard. It's also about the standards that you set yourself. That means you start small and you say, okay, today I'm gonna do, let's say, 5 phone calls, 10 phone calls to potential clients. And whatever it is, start with something that is achievable for you, where you're saying, okay, I can do that. I think I can do that. And do that for a week or 2 weeks. And so that it becomes habitual, it becomes normal. And then you go from there. You say, okay, now I'm going to raise the bar. I did 10 now is easy. It's okay. Now it's inside my comfort zone. Let's do now 12, 13, 15, whatever it is, where you think, okay, it's a bit challenging, but I can do it. I think I can push the bar. And so you're starting to raise the bar every time for yourself. And when you're, for example, when you would have asked Michael Jordan, why, and especially since you are from close to Chicago,
Yep.
I'm sure you got a special relationship to MJ. When you would have asked him why he is the best basketball player in the world at the time being, at the time back then, he would have told you that it's not because he can jump further or because he can throw better or something. The reason is simple. Because he demands more of himself than anybody else can humanly possibly demand of him. So it's all about setting the standard for yourself. But Michael Jordan didn't just wake up and be Michael Jordan, be up there. It was about setting the standard. It was about really building it up step by step. So don't expect to go out on a basketball court if you've never thrown a basketball and expect to play like Michael Jordan. It's not going to happen. You really need to build it from the bottom up, but you can create it step by step.
It's an amazing thing that the one thing I took from The Last Dance that's on Netflix, the movie that they did, is he said, and this is about mindset and momentum. He said somewhere towards the end of that why would I worry about a shot I never took? So he's not playing out the future, trying to miss it. He's keeping that momentum of success and not letting the negative mindset get in his way. I thought that was just like a golden. I mean, I will always remember that for the rest of my life.
That was actually when they were on practice before the finals.
Yep.
And he said that many people are scared, like many, even of the team of the Bulls, were scared of taking a shot. And he said, it doesn't make no sense to me. Because why would I be scared if I haven't even taken the shot yet?
Right. It's you living in that mindset of success versus living in the mindset of, I don't want to fail, right? They're two completely
Well, yeah.
different things. And so,
And when you sorry to interrupt,
oh
Brian,
no, you're
because when
good.
you're saying that, I don't want to fail. Our brains cannot imagine the word no. Like we think in pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say I don't want to fail, our brain only gets the information fail. Like, has ever anybody told you, oh, please don't forget that? And then you arrive there, and what did you forget? Exactly that.
Exactly. It's like
So
we're being
it was
trained
like,
to think that.
because they're programming your brain, like your brain only gets forget. So if you really want somebody to not forget it, you need to tell them, please remember that,
Mm-hmm.
like in a positive way. And that's the point. So it's very, where focus goes, energy flows.
Yeah, I love that, because when I learned that principle of, directives, if you will, however you want to call it, I started correcting myself. It's like, I don't even tell my kids, hey, don't remember that, or don't forget that. I say, remember that. I give them what I want them to do, not what I don't want them to do. So that's, I'm glad you shared that. So,
great leadership advice, also for yourself, but also like you need to lead yourself first.
yeah.
And of course also for others.
So talk a little bit about that, because that's an interesting subject in regards to winning mindset, leading yourself and a winning mindset. How do those two things go together?
Well, I mean, if you want to be a leader and in order to lead yourself, you need to create a winning mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to, and what does it mean to create a winning mindset? That winning mindset starts by believing in yourself.
Mm.
You need to believe in yourself. And actually, I have a great story about that. 7 years ago, I had the opportunity to meet Tom Brady. And I'm sure as a sports fan, and I think
Oh, yeah. Know exactly who that guy is.
Exactly. Yeah. And also that he knows actually, that he knows a thing or two about how to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And I met him in 2013 in Houston at a game against the Texans. And that was just 1 week after the, at the time, largest comeback in the history of the New England Patriots, when they were down 24-0 against Peyton Manning and the Broncos. And then they turned it around in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Like in halftime, they went into the locker room with 0-24 on the scoreboard. And I was asking him, I was like, man, how do you do that? Like when you go into a locker room at halftime, being down by 24 points, what do you say to yourself and how do you actually motivate yourself? And he said, two things. First of all, you need to go out there and you need to take every single play at a time. Like you're only playing one play at a time, and you just focus on that play. Like don't get ahead of yourself, focus on one play at a time. And the second thing, what he said was you actually remember, you think back about the things that you actually did great with the team. You think back about some successes, something that builds you up, where you start to believe in yourself, where you start to believe like, okay, there is a chance, there is a possibility. Like you need to believe that it's actually doable, that it's feasible, that it's possible, that you can do it. And then you just start building the momentum step by step, every single play. And suddenly something works and you're like, oh, great, that worked. Let's try it again. Oh, that worked too. And then, oh, okay, that didn't work, but okay, no worries. Let's focus on the next one. Mm-hmm. Oh, that worked. Okay, great. And so you're starting to build. And suddenly, we saw it a few years later in the Super Bowl, what that you can move mountains. What never anybody would have expected possible.
Well, and that, I love this story. Thanks for sharing. And I'm jealous. You met Tom Brady. I'm jealous first. And secondly, it goes right back to what you were saying. It's where your focus, where you focus, momentum goes, right? He focused on what he did right and carried that into the second half, which made him win.
Exactly. In success, there is no place for negativity in your head. Like if you want to be successful, you need to be focused on the positive. You need to be focused on what you can do rather than what you cannot do, because there are always many things that you cannot do. And actually that leads us back to 2020. Many people right now are focused on all the limitations, all the things that are, oh, it's horrible, oh my God. And it starts also with the wording, what you're saying to yourself. Like you need to watch also the vocabulary. What are you saying to yourself? And how could you maybe formulate it different? Because also the words have actually the opportunity to create a biochemical reaction in ourselves. So you really need to be focused on and to be aware of what are you saying to yourself, and how can you actually turn this around and make it positive? How can you create the chances, the opportunities, the possibilities where there are none, what you might think originally, but there are always opportunities.
I had a mentor probably 10 years ago teach me one of the most amazing things that I've ever accepted and used in my life is that language is not descriptive, it's generative. And once that clicked in my mind, I started watching what I say, because I was realizing that I wasn't describing the world. My words were generating the world that's in front of me.
You are creating it.
It's crazy.
And because everybody creates his or her own world. There is no absolute world. Well, yes, there is, but none of us experiences the absolute world.
Right.
So we always experience our world.
Yeah. And, and your mindset is directly tied to the world you're experiencing. So.
Absolutely. 100%. Mic drop.
Yeah, right. There you go. Well, Ronny, this has been inspiring. This has been eye-opening. It's been awesome. I appreciate you taking time to come on, and please share with everybody how they can find you, because I know after watching this, people are going to want to reach out and learn more.
Oh, absolutely. And hop on to the journey of awesomeness and come on over and let's create something together. Yes. You can find me on social media, of course, on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter. It's always /Ronny Leber, RONNYLEBER. I'm sure it's going to be in the show notes as well. And also you can come over to my homepage at ronnyleber.com. There's also a blog where you can get some things for you, also for your journey that might help you and that I'm sure that are going to help you. And you can just reach out to me as well. If you want to have some special help or you want me to help you personally, just reach out to me also on ronnyleber.com or on any social media.
Well, thank you. And anybody who's listening or watching this, if you're even thinking about maybe should I reach out to this guy, I encourage you to do it. Everything that he shared on how you can get a hold of him is going to be wherever you're watching this video or listening to this audio. So take the opportunity and choose now to reach out to Ronny and learn how you can build your legacy, because this guy's amazing. This guy's definitely amazing. So Ronny, again, thanks for hopping on, and thanks for everybody tuning into this episode of the On Purpose Growth Podcast. We'll see you on the next time. Take care.
Thank you, Brian.
The following BLTV program is brought to you by O'Flaherty Law. Please enjoy.